Well, looks like Luke to Infinity was right again. Impeachment round 2 is over, and just like I predicted, Donald Trump was acquitted. Again. Guess who can't stop talking about it? We'll go over that in this episode. I'm going to name every Republican senator who basically just ruined themselves by voting to convict Donald Trump. Also, there are a few states that are still standing up for freedom and liberty. I'll talk about that too. If you like what you're listening to, please like and subscribe to the channel. Get ready, everyone, because this is Luke to Infinity. Yeah. Good day, everyone. Welcome to Luke to Infinity. I am your host, Luke, and joining me is everyone's favorite sound guy from the Luke and Me Show, Harry. We're going to get right into all this news, but before we do, I would like everyone to please rise for the pledge to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, one nation, indivisible, under God, for real.
Thank you, President Biden, for leading us in our pledge. Let's get right into the impeachment trial. The media tried their best to get everyone thinking that Trump was going to be convicted after day one. I mentioned this last episode. Take a listen to what I said last episode.
So again, what is the point of this impeachment? It's just a political stunt. It's a political circus. That's all it is. There's nothing else. Don't think too deep into it because there's nothing there. Don't look too deep into it. You won't find anything. But basically you're saying that that all you're hearing today and late last night was, oh yeah, the prosecution really rocked, and Trump's defense, they sucked. That's all you're hearing right now. And then you hear Trump's defense team coming out saying, we're really going to come back and fight now. And now they have their debates going on today.
So that's what I said last episode. I'm telling you right now, the media was trying to make it seem that Trump didn't have a defense, and he's going to be convicted no matter what, and thus would finally put an end to Trump's legacy, and his followers would abandon him. That's what the media wanted. That's what the left wanted. Well, it didn't happen, because the Democrats, turns out, didn't have a case at all. Everything they presented was edited and doctored. Trump's lawyers did a good job of calling this out, and then in the end, it resulted in acquittal. Now, there was this interesting process that happened during the trial. The Senate voted to proceed with witnesses, 55 to 45. This was Saturday, but there was a 2-hour pause in the hearing for the House managers and Trump's lawyers to chat and talk about this. Turns out that Trump's lawyers were ready for a defense. One of Trump's lawyers had a list of names. At the top of this list was handwritten, witness list 301, and in parentheses was written, so far. All you're hearing in the media is the House managers and their sad excuses for folding up. Okay, so the House, one of the idiots, all right, the House manager, Jamie Raskin, I think that's how you say his name, Democrat from Maryland, of course. He says, we could have had 1,000 witnesses. Who is this guy trying to convince? This guy's a complete idiot. He probably can't even count to 1,000. This is just him playing damage control, okay, because his bluff was called out by Trump's lawyers. They simply just did not have a case. And when the Senate voted to proceed with witnesses, the House managers, the Democrats, panicked because they knew this would hurt them. It's rumored that on the list of the 301 witnesses that Trump's lawyers had was Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Vice President Kamala Harris, and many more people of importance. At least they think they're important. They're not. But I find it suspicious that there was a 2-hour break after the Senate voted to continue with witnesses, and during this break, the House managers and Trump's lawyers came to an agreement, magically, to not proceed with witnesses. Folks, this is blatantly obvious that the House managers did not have a case. They were outmatched, and the Democrats are doing damage control now, and on Sunday they were making up excuses as to why they agreed to no witnesses, but everyone knows what really happened. On Sunday, they were saying, I think this was Nancy Pelosi or somebody was saying this, but they were like, continuing the trial with witnesses wouldn't have been strategically advantageous. I think we all know what that means. But in case you don't, it means that if they would have proceeded, this trial would be going on for weeks, maybe even months. They would have looked like fools. Their lies would have been exposed. They would have lost support and possibly even lost voters. Trump's lawyers would have had a field day with this, and it would have been very entertaining for Trump supporters to watch. So this is why the House managers agreed to no witnesses. Simple as that. The media still can't let it go, though. And you might be hearing that, oh, Trump could still be tried in a criminal court. Oh, please, give it up already, Nancy Pelosi. You lost. My goodness. However, though, Nancy Pelosi was able to get a few dumb Republicans to join in on the circus. In doing so, these Republicans' careers are already hurting. Let's name these idiots and these idiot Republicans that voted to convict. Okay, here they are. Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, Richard Burr of North Carolina, Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Mitt Romney of Utah, Ben Sasse of Nebraska, and Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania. Now, my home state is Pennsylvania. And here's an interesting thing. As of October 5th, 2020, Pat Toomey announced that he would not run for re-election to a third term in 2022 for Senate, or he wasn't going to run for governor either. Well, good! Because I can pretty much guarantee that if he would lose. My 6 listeners and I would definitely not vote for him. By voting to convict, he took his career and flushed it. He spent his entire career on the toilet, so I guess that's a great way to wrap it up, Pat. Get off the crapper and flush. What a moron. And he was thinking of running for governor of Pennsylvania? Ha! That would have been a joke. His vote, basically, to convict was, I got nothing to lose, type attitude vote. That's what he was doing. Now, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitt Romney have always been rhinos and losers, Republican in name only. I can't believe that I actually voted for Mitt Romney when he ran for president. What a waste. I should have just voted for my foot. But I believe Bill Cassidy of Louisiana and Richard Burr of North Carolina, and I think even Ben Sasse of Nebraska, they're already in deep trouble. And they're catching a ton of flack from their constituents. Whatever political future that these people were hoping for, if they were hoping for a political future at all, whatever it is, it's gone. It's gone now. Just like Pat Toomey's. What a dunce cap. This is the reason why the Republican Party constantly fails. Weak leadership and broken promises in the House and Senate. This is why Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. He was not a politician. He was an outsider with an image, and he had a vision for this country, and he did what he said he was going to do. Now, there was talk of a third party forming, and it's something ridiculous, like 65 or 68 or 69% of Republican voters or something like that are in favor of a third party. Well, gee, I wonder why. The Republican voters don't want politicians anymore. They want real people, hard-working people, people that actually do something and don't make empty promises. Voters, especially Republican voters, are sick and tired of lifetime politicians. Voters want leaders that care about them and listen to them. Everyone forgets that the president doesn't really have that much power, and for good reason. The only real powers the president has is they command the army and make sure that laws are carried out legally. The president's head of the executive branch. The two other powers that the president has are shared with Congress, making treaties and approving legislation. The president does not have a lot of power and should not. It's not a king-type position. These stupid executive orders should not be legal. Laws are supposed to be carried out through Congress, and people are angry and starting to take action. States are fighting back against Biden's executive orders already. States like South Dakota, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, they're taking legal action to protect themselves from the federal government abusing its power. Even people in states like New York and California are starting to realize that their freedoms are being taken away. But let's start with South Dakota here. Okay, so in early January, House Bill 1194 was introduced in the state, and it says any executive order made by the president would be void if it restricts a person's rights or is determined unconstitutional by the state attorney general. This law would include any executive order that applies to directives about a pandemic or other public health emergency, the regulation of natural resources, the regulation of agriculture industry, the regulation of land use, the regulation of the financial sector through the imposition of environmental, social, or governance standards, the regulation of the constitutional right to keep and bear arms as well. Now, the state representative that introduced this bill, his name is Aaron Award. He said, this isn't just a President Biden issue, but rather an overall executive overreach issue that we've been experiencing for a long time. He says, the U.S. Congress has abdicated their duty for a long time in different areas. This bill is simply setting up a process to nullify acts that would be unconstitutional. When looking at the U.S. Constitution, the president only has the powers that are laid out in Article 2. And that's what I just talked about. Okay? And Tennessee is doing a very, very similar thing. They're looking at an exemption from any executive order signed by the president that is deemed unconstitutional in the state of Tennessee. Now, Texas is another state taking action against Biden's executive orders. Late January, Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued an executive order on the protection of Texas energy industry from federal overreach. He is directing every state agency to use all lawful powers and tools to challenge any federal action that threatens the continued strength, vitality, and independence of the energy industry. And, believe it or not, 4 Texas Democrats urged Joe Biden to rescind his executive order pausing oil and gas leases on federal lands and waters in Texas. The U.S. was energy independent with Trump in office, and now we're back to buying foreign oil as our main source. What a shame. Now, Florida. Here's another big one. Biden is threatening a travel ban to and from the state of Florida. This is absolute craziness. I'm talking to you, an American citizen, are not allowed to travel to one of the country's states, but yet illegal immigrants are pouring in over the southern border. The hypocrisy of the left is in plain sight here. It's ridiculous. California citizens have gathered over 1.5 million signatures to have a recall vote of their governor, Gavin Newsom, who happens to be Nancy Pelosi's nephew. But many Californians are angry with this guy, okay? They are seeing through his lies, seeing many of his failures, and he is going against his own dumb restrictions in the state that he made. And finally, there's New York. Governor Cuomo. This guy is responsible for the death of thousands of elderly New Yorkers. This guy should be removed from office immediately and be tried for murder. He knowingly put sick people in nursing homes, the most vulnerable people, and this virus spread, resulting in thousands of deaths. Why isn't this guy in jail yet? New Yorkers and Californians are leaving and moving to states that have more freedoms and better leadership. Good for those people. Get out of those states. Mass exodus are happening from those states. This seems like it could start like the start of a new nation called the Independent States of America, because clearly we're not united anymore. And then there's Biden blabbing on about becoming unified and blah blah. Who's he trying to convince here? There was a CNN town hall last night. It was Tuesday night. This is Wednesday today, depending on when you're listening to this. But if you missed it, okay, you're in the category with the majority of the country. But I got some good audio for you, which brings me to What Did Joe Say? Now, before I play this first clip, okay, let me just tell you the question that was asked here. The question was, how can we avoid over-legislating police while also training officers to police with compassion? Here's this guy's answer, President Biden. Here's his answer.
Is that, think about it. If you want to know where the American public is, look at the money being spent on advertising. Did you ever 5 years ago think every second or third ad out of 5 or 6 you'd turn on would be biracial couples? No.
Okay, then people clap like he said something important. So really here, his answer was, look at all the advertisements with biracial couples. Yep, great answer, Joe. 81 million people voted for you. Yep, what a joke. He clearly doesn't know what he's saying. I want to play 3 more clips of Biden. What did Joe say? This first clip that I want to play, alright, this next one, the second one here, I got 3. So this first one here is of him saying that there wasn't a COVID-19 vaccine when he took office. Biden, you were fully vaccinated at the time of your inauguration. But that's okay, you probably forgot. Well, that's alright. Well, here's the clip of him saying this.
It's one thing to have the vaccine, which we didn't have when we came into office, but a vaccinator.
He didn't have a vaccine when he came into office. Really? Again, just for everyone out here listening, okay, Joe Biden got his first dose of the vaccination on December 21st, 2020. His second dose in January, right before his inauguration. The vaccine was out before Christmas. I know that for a fact because I did a Christmas special on it. Biden got vaccinated on live national television, people. If you believe for 1 second that the vaccine was rolled out under the Biden administration, then there is absolutely no hope for you. The vaccine rollout happened under Donald Trump's administration. Operation Warp Speed. Don't take my word for it. Look it up yourself. Here's another clip from this town hall. Wait till you hear this.
The other portion is a lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online to determine how to get in line for that COVID vaccination.
If Donald Trump would have said something like this, it would have ended his presidential career in a heartbeat. Joe Biden is racist. he right here it says, Hispanics in the black community apparently don't know how to use the internet. Really? Many people in these communities, they don't know how to get on the internet to get in line for the vaccine. I'm Joe Biden and I can't breathe or stand because this guy, he's a racist. But 81 million people voted for him. This last audio clip. Biden was finally asked the perfect question. And it is, when can we expect the country to return to normal? Finally, someone asked him this. Actually, it was a written question and the moderator asked it. But here is Joe Biden's answer.
A significant number have to be in a position where they have been vaccinated and or they've been through it and
have antibodies.
And so if that works that way, as my mother would say, with the grace of God and the goodwill of the neighbors, that by next Christmas, I think we'll be in a very different circumstance, God willing, than we are today.
Now, Anderson Cooper the moderator had to help him out a little bit and remind him of the word of antibodies. But it goes on. Joe Biden goes on to say that he's not promising anything because he knows better, basically. But nowhere did he mention in this answer anything about a new strain of this virus. So that better not become a so-called public health crisis. But I actually think Biden might make this happen. Harry just fell off his chair. Hear me out, people. Hear me out. His prediction, or hope, of things being back to normal by Christmas, this prediction, believe it or not, has a political motive behind it. Let me give you a hint. The House of Representatives will have 5 special elections this coming November due to vacancies. How convenient would it be for the country to be saved and back to normal around the time of these special elections? Another reason, Biden must show progress on COVID-19. After all, this is what he ran on to get elected. He ran on COVID-19 and saying that he was going to be better than Donald Trump. So he must show results, improvement, and progress, or else these special elections will be a complete loss for the Democrats. And my second reason as to why this is politically motivated is of the 2022 midterm elections. If there is little to no progress, or things get worse, the hopes for the Democrats winning the midterms will be gone. This guy is a politician, people. I'm talking about Joe Biden. He will do anything to keep his party in power. Even if there were to be a new strain or some other tragic pandemic or whatever, this guy would straight out lie to the American voters and say all is well, just so that he could stay in power. Keep an eye on this, everyone, because things are going to get interesting. Now, I've talked way too much and went over a lot of information there. So I'm just going to wrap up the show now. Thank you for listening to Luke to Infinity. And please join us next time as we dive deeper and deeper into infinity.